We've got symbolism, and with symbolism, I mean when we use our imagination to bring up images for somebody we've made a connection with on our reading screen, we're going to have symbolism that is really in line with us and then in line with our sitter. Some things can come up that makes no sense to you whatsoever, and then that could either come from your guides, and that's something that they know that you enjoy or appreciate, or it could come from the sitter and it makes sense to them. So when you give someone an image, you see a image coming up, and it doesn't really resonate with you, it could really be because it's the sitter's experience. And same if an image comes up and it really resonates with you, it could really be about your experiences and something that makes sense to you. As an example, I've got a little dog up there that looks very much like my dog. So I could get an image like this and I could recognize it instantly because there's something that really forms part of my life and has a meaning for me. And then the sitter could have something like a beach scene that pops up. I don't really particularly, I wouldn't do something like this. I wouldn't put the chair in an umbrella at the beach. I don't really do that at all. So I wouldn't like nestle in there and spend the extended amount of time at the beach. Importantly, this year wouldn't make sense to me in a reading, and for the dog might not make sense to the sitter, and the sitter will look at like say, okay, well, I don't have a dog, so I see a dog coming up, but I don't have a dog. Oh, okay. For me, a dog is got a certain meaning. I've got my own dog, and my dog means this. Or I could say, okay, well, I see a beach scene, and I don't really know what it's about, but I see this beach scene, and it's something that looks like really comforting, and something that you could really enjoy. What we can then do is, if we have feedback, if we don't have feedback, it's not the end of the world. But for the sitter, relaxing time at the beach could really mean to them that they need a break. And for me, my dog is a companion, so it could really say, okay, well, you could use some companionship. So it's a lot of the things that we need to do in order to make this better for ourselves is to get feedback. The big value of the practical sessions, you would see once we move more towards it, is the more practical sessions we have, the more you get feedback from what your readings are about, and then you could start to see, well, if I get this dog image coming up every time somebody needs companionship, and it makes sense to them in that way, I could really learn that from the feedback I get from the sessions. So always put down what you get, and what you can do is build up a image bank and say, okay, well, for me, okay, I've got things where when I get a representation of the person, if a person's like sunken into the ground, they're very earthy. They have a very close connection to the earth, and very tied to the physical world. When they're floating, they've got a very much a tie to the mental world or the spiritual world. When they looking back over their shoulder all the time, it could mean that they live in the past all the time, that they're really focused on their past experiences. When they looking to the future and moving towards the future all the time, they're not really in the present. They're trying to get into the future as quick as they can. So those sort of things are images that come up a lot for me. Certain things would mean certain situations for me, and you build that up over time. So the more readings you do, you'll see that something represents this and something else would represent that, and you would then do good by going after your readings and then say, okay, well, I saw this in this reading, and this really means this to me now. I've seen that this person, from the feedback they gave, this was something that's been happening in their life, and then that makes sense in comparison to this image that is my experience, that I can relate to them and their experience in this way. So that's really what you want to do, is understand that not all images are going to make sense for either party. So an image could make sense to me, or an image could make sense to them, but not necessarily the other way around. So just understand that, and then this is why we do a lot of feedback sessions when we learn, so that you have more confidence understanding what images are consistent for you, and then how to interpret images in general. We don't really want to interpret images to the nth degree. We really want to give the images up But if an image doesn't make sense to someone, we can just say what it means to us. So if I get feedback often that dogs don't make sense to a lot of people, and it's something that's very important to me, I can say, well, when dogs come up for me, it means that people want companionship. And if that person sees that image about that really reminds them of a holiday they had, it could remind them that they need to take a holiday now. And they say, oh yes, this makes very much sense. I was thinking about having a holiday, and I was just not really wanting to go on one. So this could really assist them in making a decision. Okay, so that's really the section on symbolism.